Welcome, folks, to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, and to Road America, a 4-mile racetrack sweeping through the hills and the forest area up here in Wisconsin. Absolutely gorgeous racetrack, hugely challenging, and it's going to lead to some exciting racing tonight. Welcome, folks. My name is Rish Kosla. Just me tonight in the booth. No Derek or other co-commentators with me tonight, so I'll be bringing you the action alone. But round 6 for this Mega Driver 86 INDYCAR Series in this 2022 B season. It's been a heck of a season so far, dominated by just 2 drivers, Joshua Chin and Adriano Pinheiro. Chin with 2 victories, Pinheiro with 3. And, well, they're going at it here on the road course to see who can come out on top. Last time we were at a road course was 2 rounds ago at Mid-Ohio, and it was Joshua Chin on top who won that race. But since then, it has been the Adriano Pinheiro show at Nashville Super Speedway and last week at Homestead Miami Speedway. Dominant performances both from the Brazilian driver as he looks to continue expanding his 48-point lead. Qualifying is currently underway. We're going to have 2 groups running in qualifying. The first group is going to be all drivers from 16th position on back in the championship. And the top 16 in the championship will take part in Group 2. Each group takes place over 7 minutes of track time. So as we show off the qualifying timing there, when that ticker hits 8 minutes left in the session, the checkered flag will wave on this first group. And we'll have a bit of a 1-minute passing period before we allow that second group of drivers to go through. So let's keep an eye on these drivers and follow them through their flying laps as we watch right now Nick DeGroot on screen as he heads down this back straightaway. And let's actually, for you folks watching at home, maybe not as familiar with the racetrack, walk you through what this track actually looks like here. So heading down into, technically, I think this is turn number 4, because there's a little bit of a kink between turn 1, the 2 first obvious corners that make those 1, 2, and 3. But now Nick DeGroot through 5, now into the sweeping corner of 6. Very tricky to get that right. Kind of a medium speed to high speed corner, but no runoff. And that's going to be a theme that you're going to see all throughout this race tonight, all throughout qualifying, is there is 0 room for error for these drivers. You look here, not even curbing in this famous carousel corner. That driver is just sustained loading. You're just waiting for the power to come on. And then finally you crank onto the throttle through the kink here. Another very high commitment corner. And then down the back straightaway towards Canada corner. Hard onto the brakes. Make sure you get yourself slowed down in time. Can definitely see guys locking up their tires and going wide over here. Nick DeGroot does a great job at making Canada corner. A little bit of a touch on that outside curbing. Doesn't use quite all the racetrack there. Maybe just setting his first banker lap before he starts putting in some tougher times. And again, you might see guys treading a little bit further along that curb off of the final corner. But here goes Nick DeGroot as he travels across the line. He's going to be the second driver to set a lap time today. And DeGroot right now, 0.6 of a second behind Jared Rexing. Rodrigo Frenzoni, who just follows DeGroot, puts in a strong lap time. Jared Rexing as well running in the second position right now as Frenzoni heads back to pit road. And we'll keep an eye out on some other drivers as well. Hunter Smith had a purple sector 2. 6 sectors that we're keeping track of here on timing and scoring. So we could see guys going purple, which means fastest overall in a variety of these sectors. But there you go. Hunter Smith puts in his lap time, best or good for 4th position. Again, fastest in sector 2, kind of sets him up for that. We have a couple of drivers still on track. Robert Smith, Duz Castroneves. Smith completes his lap. Smith is just starting his first flying lap, and Castroneves is going to also start his first flying lap. So these guys a little bit off cycle from the drivers who have already taken to the racetrack. Tate Lytle currently sits on provisional pole as he has a little bit of a moment there. Coming off of turn number 3. Keeps it pointed in the right direction. Of course, in qualifying, not too many penalties for drivers making those mistakes. You can kind of reset the car and get it back on pit road. Of course, the major penalty is just how long the outlap is around this racetrack. 1 minute 45 second flying lap, you're probably looking at 2 minutes, 10 seconds for just your out lap. So you got to make sure you've got enough time. And really, if you're only leaving pit road right now, it's going to be tight for you in terms of getting your flying lap in. A reminder that probably, if you're sitting on pit road right now, actually, I don't think you will get a flying lap in, because this session is going to be waived, checkered with 8 minutes to go in the overall qualifying session. Tate Lytle he should get his car across the start-finish line in time to start one last flying lap. But yeah, great lap time there from Tate Lytle to get things rolling. Still some ways away, though, from what the overall track record is around this racetrack. And we'll have to head back to the history books here, but I believe that was set by Henry Bennett. It was 144.169, so we're well off that. Certainly a lot of changes happened to these cars through a variety of updates and across the season, so hard to say, you know, the similarities and of course this model of car versus the one that Bennett was driving, but yeah, still certain ways off of what they were doing. That might have even been pre-aero screen, now that I kind of look back at some of the years that those were. So additional kind of weight there that's been put onto the cars since Henry Bennett set that fast time. Tate Lytle loses his provisional pole position to Hunter Smith. Great lap time there by the American driver in the number 17, but Lytle just starting a flying lap right now as he heads through turn number 3 and onto the back straightaway. So those who are in the top 16 should have that 1 minute grace period. They'll wait, allow these drivers to complete their flying laps, and there may be some overlap with the cars on the racetrack, but in theory, these guys will be just finishing up their flying laps. Oh no! The number 8 car of Robert Smith in the way of Tate Lytle as he's on his pole lap, and that's going to end it for the Cup Series transfer. Two-time defending Cup Series champion Tate Lytle trying to go for pole position. Had a good Sector 1, but unfortunately wasn't able to complete that lap. Meanwhile, Hunter Smith still out on the racetrack looking to improve on his current lap time. It's a 145.61. Smith, as it stands right now, looking relatively solid through these past couple of sectors. Personal bests across the board. Excuse me. No, he's going to dive onto pit road. So Hunter Smith satisfied with his result there due to Castroneves. What's he going to lay down in terms of lap time? I don't know if he is on a flying lap as well. Shows currently all personal best sectors, but that may just be that was his previous lap. Castroneves is going to complete this time. We'll see what that looks like for the 06 car, currently qualified in the 7th position. He's going to move to 6th position there for Castroneves. So Smith, Lytle, Franzoni, Rexing, De Groot, Castroneves, Brubaker, and Smith in that first section. And here's the thing about the group qualifying that we do here in the Elite Racing Leagues is we're not going to split these guys by grid position. It's just a way to clear the track. So the drivers who are out on the racetrack right now are directly competing against those who were out on track for the past 7 minutes. And so you certainly look at these guys to maybe shift the standard quite some ways. Especially look at someone like Adriano Pinheiro. You look at Alex Van de Sant, who was quickest in practice, just ahead of Joshua Chin, who's also looked fantastic here. Those are really the 3 drivers that we keep an eye out for most races. They seem to have that other level. This season especially, it's been Pinheiro and Chin. But Van de Sant, 2-time defending series champion. I wouldn't count him out of any race win ever. But from a championship point of view, he's got a large hole to dig himself out of. So it's certainly going to be hard work for Alex Van de Sant. Of course, it's far from over with double points at the Indy 500 coming up in just under 1 month's time. Currently sits 77 points behind Pinheiro. So, of course, championship not out of reach, but he's going to need some spectacular results and maybe some misfortune there for the current points leader. Joshua Chin starts his flying lap across the start-finish line, and let's go for a ride around this 4-mile Road America circuit. You got those cones on the left-hand side giving you some indication of when to slam on the brakes. Great exit there for Chin, just using enough curb to keep the momentum and widen up that curve as much as possible. Again, using that curve on the exit, tapped it a little bit on the inside. You've got to be careful on the right-hand side of turn number 3. That can spin you around. We saw that with Tate Lytle, but here you go, shorten the run down into turn number 4. This one, you're going to be braking early. You feel like you're braking early, but it's such a slow corner. It's deceptively slow because you have all this runoff area available to you. You think it's going to be faster, but it's such a tight corner. This one even slower than the one before, but Joshua Chin flowing through this very well. Here's this high commitment right-hander. Oh, you see Joshua Chin just hanging on to it. Keeps it pointed in the right direction, but that's going to scrub off some lap time there. Kiss that apex on the left. Again, try and run that car a little bit wide off the corner, and then here you go, waiting on the throttle, just waiting, holding it up in the revs. You can see finally he's able to floor it, gets up into fourth gear, and now he's rolling down into the kink. Another very high commitment corner. You've got to get that inch perfect. Otherwise, you're going to risk running that car into the outside grass, and when it's there, there's really no recovering from that. It's been 3 consecutive purple sectors for Joshua Chin. First sector was only green. He goes wide there out of Canada corner using all of the available track, and he's been looking very good on this lap so far. Just has one more corner to get it done. Get that car down to the right speed, kiss that right-hand apex, run it out wide, and now it's just the shortest run to the start-finish line. 3 purple sectors on this lap. What's that going to be for Joshua Chin? It's going to be Van de Sant first goes up with a stonking lap, but Chin goes even better by 2.5 tenths. Unbelievable pace there by Chin. Unbelievable pace by Van de Sant. You can see right there, over a second clear of Hunter Smith. This second group is flying. We're going to move back to Adriano Pinheiro as he completes his flying lap, first flying lap of the day. What does this look like for the current championship leader? 44.37. These guys are in a completely separate league. 44, low 44s when the rest of the pack is in the low 45s. Unbelievable pace right now that we're seeing from Chin, Van de Sant, and Pinheiro. They have set the bar so unbelievably high for every other driver in this series, and everybody is going to be heading back to the drawing board for one more lap here, trying to figure out how the heck am I going to find one more second to get even within touching distance of these top 3 drivers. Fantastic run by those guys right now. The provisional pole sitter from group number 1, Hunter Smith, sitting on pit road right now, sits 6th position. Not a bad showing at all for him. Same with Tate Lytle, Rodrigo Franzoni, Jared Rexing. Good mix there right now. Chad Frankenfield, Chris Wright, Mark Murphy going to want to find some potential further improvement there, as well as Ryan Schuld in that 4 car. Down in 11th position, might want to find, hope that he can find a little bit more pace there in that car. But Van de Sant, Pinheiro, and Chin all back out on the racetrack, all getting ready to load up for their second runs here. So let's take a look and see what is Joshua Chin going to be able to do. Van de Sant just a little bit up the road from him. There you see Van de Sant in Canada corner, just exiting Canada corner, that is. He's going to load up one more corner to go, get the perfect exit. Running these Firestone red sidewall tires. And for Van de Sant, here he goes launching. He has to find 2.5 tenths to match what Chin did on his first lap. Does Chin have more as well to give? We saw that snap of oversteer when we rode on long with the driver, the number 93, the 2-time race winner this season. Does he have something more to give? What can Van de Sant do? We didn't watch his lap. We don't know how scruffy it was, but that was a little bit wide in turn number 1. Not great for Van de Sant. We'll see what that turns into in terms of lap time. 13 flat is going to be the time to be in the first sector for Van de Sant on this lap. It's going to be, as we wait for him to cross the timing line, maybe a 13 flat as well. Watching here, might not be giving us the total sector times as we, there we go, we'll switch to last sector time. That's what we're looking for. So 0.03 of a second off there, but matching Joshua Chin in the first sector. Pinheiro, though, as he just starts his lap, though, that's, we'll keep an eye out on him. Van de Sant, though, goes purple, fastest of all in the second sector, now into the carousel. Joshua Chin, we're watching, waiting for his number to appear. No, Chin is off track. He's done. Chin has nothing for the this second run here, and now it's all in the hands of Alex Van de Sant and Adriano Pinheiro. What can Van de Sant pull off as Pinheiro goes even faster than Van de Sant in Sector 2? Van de Sant now in Sector 4, not a personal best or anything, not great time-wise there, but a little bit better than what we saw from Chin on his first lap. It was a huge Sector 3, though, from Alex Van de Sant. Let's take a look and see what he can do as he comes around into the final corner. Needs to get that just right. And now the run to the start-finish straight. Is it going to be enough? Pinheiro also on a flyer. We'll follow him just after this. But first, Van de Sant. Can he overthrow Chin at the top of the standings? Van de Sant No, not quite. 44.31. He matches his first lap time as now Pinheiro through the kink on his final flying lap here. Time is up in the session. He's the only one with purple lap times to his name, or purple sector times to his name. He's been great in 2. He's been great in 3. He's been okay in sectors 4 and 5. And now we're just going to wait for the number for sector 6. And for the end of this flying lap, he's looked very, very good so far, Adriano Pinheiro. But is he going to have enough? A little bit wide off the exit there. It's going to hurt some of his speed. But here we go as Frankenfield moves up. Adriano Pinheiro across the line. Can he do better than 3rd? Yes, he can. Into 2nd for Adriano Pinheiro. It's the 2 championship leaders. 1-2 on the starting grid. Alex Van de Sant going to line up in 3rd. He's going to still be a competitor, though, in this race. But you still look at that, and you look at Joshua Chin, Pinheiro, and Van de Sant, what they just did in this qualifying session versus 4th place Kevin Burrell. And you realize just what a special showing these drivers have put on for us this season. As final cars crossing the line, Eric Troiano, the last car to cross the line, and that's going to be our qualifying here. We still have, folks, 55 laps of racing to go, so get excited for that as we're going to flip over to that race session in just a moment. As we wait for that, though, we'll take this opportunity to talk to you folks about our premier sponsors here at the Elite Racing Network. And we're going to start with Brixi Cam. Brixi Cam is a venture-backed company based in Toronto and Boston. They're on a mission to reimagine the group photo experience. Gone are the days of carrying around a tripod or selfie stick. They help their customers and users tell better stories around meaningful moments. Today, you can find Brixi at well-known sports venues and cultural landmarks across 4 different continents. Also want to shout out TA Services. For over 36 years, TA Services has been a trusted domestic and international full-service third-party logistics provider, offering freight brokerage, managed transportation, warehousing and fulfillment, and cross-border logistics services to shippers around the globe. TA Services moves what matters to you. And finally, Blue Egg Marketing, the marketing department for small businesses. If you're a small business owner, then Blue Egg Marketing is your absolute biggest fan. Whatever your constraints are, they help catalyze creativity, and they will help your business punch above its weight class. Also want to shout out at MegaDriver86 on Twitter, the title sponsor for this series. At MegaDriver86 provides top-notch NASCAR content from past to present, also providing content from INDYCAR to supercars. So just about any motorsports series, follow at MegaDriver86 on Twitter and keep up with his updates and takes on everything that's happening in modern and past motorsport. Cars are gridding up. We're going to take a look at what that starting grid looks like. We just followed it in qualifying there. Joshua Chin flying first lap. It was enough. He made a mistake on that second lap. Wasn't able to back it up. We don't know if that 93 potentially has even more to give. But less than a tenth away is Adriano Pinheiro there, your championship leader. 5 wins on the front row, undefeated on the front row. Those are the only 2 drivers who've won a race so far this season. Alex Van de Sant, Kevin Burrell, both having solid qualifyings there. It really seems like we're going to have 2 different classes in this race, those top 3 and just about everybody else, because look at how close it is behind Burrell. You have Troiano right there, Del Porto just a couple tenths behind, Sudik as well, couple tenths back there. Tate Lytle all the way back to about Tate Lytle. And then, again, a little bit of a gap further down. But as we go all the way through, we had a couple of drivers not take qualifying, so just 18 put their cars through qualifying. As right now we're waiting for cars to kick off. It looks like we're going to have a full pace lap here, which is pretty unique for a track this size. So we're going to delay this green flag just a little bit. Going to keep an eye out there. Bill Colley going to be the last car to take the green flag. Kanata is going to be the off-track race official for this race, is what we believe, as they've not gridded quite yet. As a pace car does roll off, and Joshua Chin and the rest of the leaders take off. Now, another thing we're going to keep an eye out for, folks, here, as we're back on a road course, 2 different things. One is going to be push to pass. So a reminder for those of you folks who aren't familiar with iRacing push to pass, the way that it works here, it's the old system of push to pass. So basically, you're going to have drivers with 10 opportunities to use the push to pass, and that'll last for 10 seconds at a time of a, I don't actually know the specific horsepower boost. It'll be a little bit of a boost to your turbo pressure, basically just giving you a little bit of a power advantage there. When you use it, of course, that does result in higher fuel consumption, so something to pay attention for if we do run into a fuel strategy type of race. We don't quite know what that fuel window is going to look like. We're going to have to keep an eye out on what the drivers are doing out on the racetrack. But yeah, so you only have 10 of those push to passes, so you got to be careful about when you use them for both attacking and defending purposes. The other thing that we have here for drivers to worry about is tire strategy. Drivers have to use both the primary and alternate tires at least once in this race. I'm going to assume that we're probably going to see more than just a single pit stop, would be my guess here today. But we're of course yet to see what that's actually going to look like. But here you see on the front row, it is the top three really, all on primary tires. We've got then right behind them, as we've got Burrell and Troiano running those alternate. You can see that bright red sidewall there on Kevin Burrell's car. Then you've got Del Porto running on alternate tires as well. That's actually 3 in a row on alternates before Sudik on primaries. And then we kind of get a bit more of a mix, so primary, alternate, primary. Guys flipping between those. It comes down to, potentially what tire are you either more comfortable or less comfortable with. You want to get that one out of the way as quickly as possible and try to run the rest of the race on the other tire, of course, if it allows you to do so. If the wear is high, though, and you prefer that alternate tire, maybe you need to run more than one stint on that primary. So all things these guys are having to think about, a little bit more involved strategy-wise than we sometimes will see in oval races, because there are more things you have to think about here behind the wheel. There are fewer, however, in-car adjustments that the drivers can make. On ovals, we talk about it all the time, the weight jacker could make a massive change in the way that your car handles around an oval. Here in a road course, no weight jacker, nothing of the sorts. You do still have your brake bias adjustment, which is going to become more significant, of course, on a road course. You're also going to have roll bar adjustment, which is somewhat significant on ovals, probably a little bit more significant here on the road courses as well. So some tools for the drivers to play with, but generally on a track like this, most drivers you expect to kind of settle in on their settings and kind of stick with that for the rest of the day. On an oval, you're kind of adjusting every single lap or potentially multiple corners per lap to make sure your car handles exactly the way you want it to each time you go around. Alrighty then, cars are lined up 2 by 2. Pace car is going to peel off in just a moment here, and Joshua Chin is going to lead this field over to the green flag. Keep an eye out, hopefully a great race today. 55 laps, unlimited sets of tires for these drivers, so again, we don't expect to be seeing too many pit stops, again, like you would maybe on an oval where you've got a lot of cautions. Expect this race to run green for the majority of time. But here we go. Pace car going to peel off. And as we lose the camera there, pace car off. Joshua Chin hits the loud pedal and away he goes. Remember how good Chin has been on restarts, but this time it's a long straightaway towards turn number 1. Pinheiro fends off Van de Sant, at least heading into 1. Pinheiro with that inside line. Van de Sant on the outside, and they're going to go side by side. Van de Sant has to back out early on, and that's just giving a little bit more room up there for Chin as they all cross seemingly safely through the first couple of corners. Watch out for turn number 2. A little bit of dust flying up, but looks like everybody, for the most part, heading through cleanly. And now we're going to dive down into turn number 5. You're going to see the cars. There's Chin. There's Pinheiro again, fending off from Van de Sant. Van de Sant under attack from Burrell. Burrell is going to dive to the inside of Alex Van de Sant. Van de Sant going wide, and Burrell into 3rd position. Great start there from the driver of the number 52 car. Great stuff there. Burrell, we mentioned, maybe didn't have that outright pace in qualifying, but a fantastic start catching Van de Sant sleeping there into turn number 4, and now just made the life of the defending series champ a little bit harder if he wants to stay in touch with Pinheiro and Chin up front. Chin has a half-second lead over Adriano Pinheiro right now. Pinheiro hanging on to that as we continue on lap number 1 through the kink. The drivers will go, and here they roll. There is everybody nice and single file. You're not really going to see too many people taking it double wide. Oh my gosh, and there we have a crash. Who was that? Tate Lytle. I think that was in the wall. as he's now off track. And we no update there on the Tate Lytle car. But that was Lytle crashing out of this race. And again, no update there from that particular car. And we can't seem to get a camera on it either. So interesting. We'll maybe see if we can head back to the Whiskey Cast replay as we watch this first lap here. A little bit further back, though. How about this from Chad Frankenfield looking on Victor Del Porto? Nothing quite yet for Frankenfield, but potentially move coming on this back straightaway. Kevin Burrell still ahead of Van de Sant. His timing sheets are lighting up with green, and already drivers using the button a lot. Hunter Smith, Ryan Schold have already used the button at least twice, with Smith now using it 3 times. So very early on as, Van de Sant fending off Victor Del Porto there into turn number 4. Hanging on for now, Ryan Schold with an issue. What's happened here to the driver of the number 4 car? We'll see if we can go back. We'll take a look here at the Whiskey Cast replay and see what happened to Schold. Coming into turn number 4. He's going to be side by side. Looks like that's Nicholas Sudik. Schold goes wide on the power a little bit early, on the bumps a little bit early, and around goes the driver of the 4 car. Meanwhile, we're going to go to the Whiskey Cast replay, see if we can find what happened there to poor Tate Lytle. It seemed like just as he made the hit with the wall, his car just disappeared off this racetrack, which is unfortunate. So not too sure if there was some netcode issues with Lytle. But here we go. Watching Tate Lytle in car, on board, through the kink, just a little bit of a second guess into that wall. And the car just disappears from the racetrack after that. So further issues for Lytle, as we'll head back to live pictures as we watch Joshua Chin versus Adriano Pinheiro. Pinheiro right now sits 0.7 of a second behind Chin. You know what Pinheiro has more to worry about right now? Kevin Burrell behind him. Burrell struggled in qualifying, but on race pace, he is just as fast as these drivers in front. In fact, he's 0.1 of a second faster than Pinheiro and just about matched Joshua Chin on that last lap. So Kevin Burrell, the race pace on this 52 car looking spectacular. And a reminder, he is on the alternate sidewall tire. So are we seeing this as the tire advantage right now that drivers get on these alternate softer rubber Firestone tires? Seems to be benefiting Burrell massively here. If he can clear Pinheiro, he could be a genuine threat to Joshua Chin on this particular stint, and you feel like Burrell is trying to do that here. If he can get some clean track, get some clean track conditions, clean air in front of him, there's no telling what he can do on those fresher tires. Of course, you do start to worry about when do those fall off versus the primaries. The general rule is that the primary tires are going to last longer than the alternates, but they're just not going to be quite as quick. But there is going to be a transition period here where the primaries will eventually become just as fast, if not eventually faster, than these primaries. But right now it is advantage to the alternate sidewall tire. Kevin Burrell looking fantastic. Again, got past Alex Van de Sant early on, and Van de Sant has not had a response for any of these top 3 drivers quite yet. As we complete lap number 3, Joshua Chin sets a little bit of a slower lap time there, but still gaps ahead of Pinheiro. Gaps faster than Burrell. And Van de Sant, similar lap time to Pinheiro. So Van de Sant starting to close in maybe a little bit on Burrell as well. We go back here to Ryan Schold. Remember, he had the spin just that previous lap, getting passed by Dudas Castroneves, but he's not done yet because he's going to look to the inside. Here in turn number 1, it's Ryan Schold for the race lead. Get that ticker up there for you folks. Sorry about the delay in getting that there. Following battles all over the racetrack. And there you see Pinheiro again, 0.6 of a second behind Chin, but Burrell just 0.5 a second behind Pinheiro. Could he potentially launch an attack? How about this? Chad Frankenfield getting closer and closer. Or excuse me, Eric Troiano getting closer and closer to Chad Frankenfield. Frankenfield right now kind of leading a little bit of a train here that's starting to form with Troiano, Smith, and Sudik just starting to catch this as well. So we'll see what these guys can do. Frankenfield is one of those guys running alternate tires. Actually, all three of these drivers in shot running alternates. Nicholas Sudik, the first driver behind them, to be running the primary sidewall tires. Potentially an advantage for him further in the race if we're looking at this battle for just outside the top 5. Heading into Canada corner. Ooh, as Troiano gets on the brakes hard, almost loses the car. He's going to lose a ton of time, might lose a position 2 to Smith, but it looked like he just wasn't prepared for where Frankenfield broke, or he might have just broke a little bit too late, thought he could outbrake the 15 car, realized he had just carried too much speed into that corner, as we already have cars on pit road. Frankenfield and Smith already pitting here on just lap number 5 of this race. That is extremely early here for these guys. So these alternate tires maybe don't have the life that drivers need out of them right now. This could be a long primary race, and they got those alternates out of the way. And now you're thinking just primaries all the way to the end of this one. So we watch Kevin Burrell as he continues to chase down Adriano Pinheiro. He's been looking fantastic so far in this race. Remember, best of the rest in qualifying past Van de Sant. And now chasing down your championship leader, Joshua Chin, looking to go even with Adriano Pinheiro. Won't be even in terms of points, but at least even in terms of race wins, brings him much closer into the sphere of Pinheiro here. And Chin could just extend his incredible record right now. He's 2 for 3 on races participated, or excuse me, races won, 2 races participated. Just one, has an actual winning record here in the Mega Driver 86 series. Could go 3 for 4 here tonight, and that's what he's hoping to achieve. Had the pace in qualifying, it seemed. And on these road courses, Chin, again, it seems to be the guy who's just kind of set that new bar for the rest of this field. It's been impressive the way he's shaken up, the entire Mega Driver 86 field. And again, could we see a new champion crowned at the end of this season? Could we see a rookie champion crowned at the end of the season? Far from a rookie when it comes to these cars, but within the elite racing leagues, he certainly is. Running through the field here, looking for close battle on the racetrack. Chad Frankenfield off of pit road. Hunter Smith not far behind. Frankenfield looking to get past Michael Hossack and get into the 14th position. We have a car around Jari Brupaker in the final corner. Mistake there from the 88 car. And that's going to result in him getting passed by Frankenfield Hossack. Looks like Smith is going to get on by there too. We're going to head back to the Whiskey Cast replay. See what happened there. A little bit tricky sometimes off that final corner. If you get too much curb or you even touch the grass, that'll send the car around. And that looks like that might have been what happened here to Jari Brupaker. Here he goes. Just a little bit too much power early on. Keeps it off the wall, though. And is able to keep rolling there, just losing time and track position. But now he's already back on the attack on Michael Hossack, diving down into turn number 4. He has that inside line. Hossack has to be careful not to repeat what Scholl did, but Brupaker back into the top 15 here. Ooh, but wide again into turn number 5 and hands back the position to Michael Hossack. So Brupaker will keep an eye out on him, but he now has his work cut out once again. Second up the road is Michael Hossack. As the field right now, generally pretty spread out here. Eric Troiano, Nicholas Sudik, closest battle that we have on track as it stands. But actually, we're going to go back to this battle between Brupaker and Hossack, because Brupaker generally has had the pace advantage over Michael Hossack to the tone of about a second and a half, on a clean lap. But it's just been 2 sloppy laps there from Jari that have lost him this position, but he's closing back in relatively quickly on the 24 car, and is going to look to try and once again break into the top 15. Ooh, as we see a swap of positions. Look like Eric Troiano. Oh, who was that? Well, that might have just been a blink for a driver. Never mind there, folks. saw the timing and scoring there move just briefly. As race is settling into a bit of a rhythm right now. Maybe not as much for Adriano Pinheiro. Looks to be struggling just a little bit now with grip. Current championship leader that last time around was almost, what is that? 4/10 of a second slower than Alex Van de Sant. And Van de Sant has closed this gap up to 0.6 of a second. Could he get past Pinheiro? And that was actually the pass that we saw. It was Burrell past Pinheiro. And we're actually going to have to hop back to the the Whiskey Cast replay to see what actually happened to Pinheiro. Because it looks like that was not totally intentional from the driver of the number 56 car. Here we go. Runs just a little bit wide, sends it around, hangs on. But he's back pointed in the right direction. Van de Sant goes on by, and now I wonder, how did Pinheiro get this position back on Van de Sant just a little bit later? Does Van de Sant make a mistake here? As we watch there, Van de Sant slides it into turn number 1, but still ahead. We're still watching this Whiskey Cast replay. As we continue to follow Alex Van de Sant and Adriano Pinheiro. There is a swap coming up here between positions. Could be a mistake here from Van de Sant. It seems likely that it's a mistake between, or a mistake from Van de Sant. Given where they currently stand, it's Pinheiro ahead of Alex Van de Sant. And still waiting for that there, so not too sure what happened here to the number 1 car. There it might have been loose. Yep, he hits the grass loose off of turn number 5. And Pinheiro gets back on by, so we'll go back to live pictures here and resume the battle between these two. Pinheiro ahead of Van de Sant, all behind Burrell, who's had a fantastic first stint in this race, up 2 positions. Now sits less than a second behind Joshua Chin. And in fact, he's maybe closing just a little bit. Actually, no, excuse me. Not closing at all there on Joshua Chin. Looking at the wrong interval there. Chin right now is extended out to a 5.7 second lead through all this squabbling going on behind him. Van de Sant on the button. Not able to put together a move quite yet there. But he's chasing down. He's close to Pinheiro's gearbox here, heading into turn number 3. And Van de Sant, I think, once again is going to have an opportunity to get by. But Pinheiro also has the draft from Burrell up in front. We've got a great battle going on here for the second position on the racetrack. Pinheiro doesn't even have to defend there. Van de Sant just a little bit too far back to make that move. As, Del Porto going to lose a spot to Troiano as Troiano slides on down the inside of turn number 4. And Troiano now up inside the top 5. Meanwhile, back up front, this battle for second place. Adriano Pinheiro, Alex Van de Sant just behind, both chasing down Kevin Burrell in front. And on that most recent lap, looks like Pinheiro with struggling with overall pace today. It seems, interestingly enough, but yeah, Van de Sant a little bit slower actually, or excuse me, a little bit quicker than Burrell. Pinheiro a little bit slower than Van de Sant, so it feels like we've got kind of a reverse order here in terms of lap times. Is there going to be enough though difference in lap time for these guys to make that overtake? Coming off turn 2, it looks like it might just be, here's Pinheiro. Is he on the button? Not even. Pinheiro still conserving push to pass. He doesn't even need it though, because he's going to line up Kevin Burrell into turn number 1. Pinheiro with the preferred inside line even gets clear of Burrell before the corner to get a little bit more track position. And here we go. That's going to check up Burrell heading into 3. And it's going to give that spot over to Van de Sant. So in the span of just 3 corners, 2 corners really, if you ask me, Kevin Burrell drops from 2nd to 4th, and I think he's starting to feel the wear on those alternate sidewall Firestone tires. But Van de Sant needs to make sure not to give up that position again to Burrell, as he's going to look to the inside into 4. He's not going to be there, and Van de Sant now has a clean eye on Pinheiro, and he probably doesn't have to focus much on Burrell behind. I'd imagine we've reached that point in the race now where there is probably a bit more of an advantage on the primaries, though I will say, yeah, definitely an advantage on the primaries there, as the alternates are definitely starting to wear down on just about all the cars that we see here. In fact, it's not even just alternates. It seems like primaries for some drivers too, and even drivers with fresh primaries or fresh alternates are still running slower lap times than the top 3 drivers on their older tires. It is unbelievable the pace that they're running right now late into this stint. As once again we go to this battle, Van de Sant versus Pinheiro. Van de Sant not able to get a move done in Canada corner, a little bit loose coming off the corner as Pinheiro picks up a little bit of dust as well. Here we go, final turn. Want to get a good exit there for both of these drivers. Looks like a solid one from Pinheiro, maybe a little bit worse from Van de Sant. I wonder if he's going to get on the button. Does he believe in his ability to get past this time by? Not quite. He's going to conserve it, wait for a much clearer opportunity. It'll make a difference. Might have made a difference there down the straightaway. It looked like Van de Sant had a higher VMAX at the end of the straightaway, but Pinheiro stays ahead for now. We'll see if Van de Sant decides to get on the button, though. Once again, on the back straightaway, here they come, and Van de Sant is on the push to pass. Pinheiro is not. So no defense from Pinheiro in terms of power, and here goes Van de Sant looking to the inside, hard on the brakes. Is he going to get slowed down in time? He gets the apex, he gets the move done. Alex Van de Sant into the 2nd position. All of this has been happening, though, of course, losing time to race leader Joshua Chin, now 6.7 seconds up the road. And it's a big ask now for these other 2 drivers to try and get by. But for now, the battle is with each other, and Alex Van de Sant looking strong late in the tire run. Adriano Pinheiro maybe just wore through those a little bit early on, chasing Joshua Chin at the start of that stint. So we'll see when our leaders decide to pit in. Meanwhile, we move a little bit further back here. Nicholas Sudik chasing down Eric Troiano for the 5th position. Sudik, one of those guys who started on the primary tire. So once again, we're seeing this transition now where the primary is the preferred tire over the alternate. Troiano on those red sidewalls, and you're seeing here the pace advantage. That last time around, Sudik was 3/4 of a second faster than Troiano. And I imagine he's closed even more on this most recent lap in terms of speed. And once again, it seems like only a matter of time now before Sudik is able to get by Eric Troiano. And again, if you're one of these guys on the alternate strategies, maybe you're thinking of just getting off these tires because they don't seem to be sustainable over the course of a fuel run. You saw how quickly Chad Frankenfield and Hunter Smith got rid of them. Of course, the question for them is, did that end up working in their favor? It's tough to say right now. They're quick on the racetrack and much quicker than the cars directly ahead of them. But, I mean, the cars directly ahead of them are quite some ways ahead. Nick DeGroot, 8 seconds up the road from Chad Frankenfield now. Dudes Castroneves also a further 3 seconds up the road. Chris Wright, another 1 second up the road, just for Chad to break even with where he started this race. So, it's going to be the long play for sure, and it might be one extra stop for the 15 and the 4 car. The 15 and the 17 car. But yeah, we'll see how this plays out here. Is Mark Murphy? We certainly shouldn't. I was going to start talking about Mark Murphy and the season that he's had, but might have pre-commentators cursed him there, which might be a new record for myself to do that in negative time. But I mean, yeah, let's talk about Mark Murphy as he's back on the racetrack. Still running 3rd in the championship. He's had a fantastic start to this season. All came with that very, very close run to the finish at the US 500 to start the season. 2nd place, just Adriano Pinheiro. Spectacular finish there. If you folks want to see that, that's actually on the iRacing Instagram page, is where you can find the finishing laps from that. A little bit of a couple of rough races at New Hampshire and Mid-Ohio, but then Nashville. back inside the top 10 and back inside the top 5 at Homestead. We haven't talked much about him, but he's had a quiet, very good season. Just these road courses don't seem to be agreeing with him at this point in the season. Hoping to probably find some more pace on them. But right now sits 13th position. We'll probably lose that third in the championship to Alex Van de Sant. However, outside of Van de Sant, though, they're pretty well kind of past. Excuse me, as we go back to the championship standings. I mean, sorry there, just floating back on our actual point standings, and that is actually my bad. Mark Murphy currently sits, third in the standings. Okay. Yeah, I mean, he'll possibly drop behind Sudik and Frankenfield, who are, having solid races right now. Frankenfield maybe not. Sudik also maybe not, though currently running in 6th for the driver, the number 87. But you've got a really good battle kind of brewing here for, in this top group of cars. Obviously, Pinheiro and Chin kind of in a league of their own almost, but then you've got a fantastic battle for third in the championship. Murphy on 116 points, Van de Sant on 115, Sudik on 107, Frankenfield on 106, so 10 points separating just 4 drivers. You extend that to 14 points, and you add Victor Del Porto into the mix as well. So they've all had very strong starts to their season, if maybe a bit quiet at times. But there you look at the move for Sudik on Troiano. He very nearly ran out of space there trying to get past the 14 car. Kevin Burrell is on pit road. Here comes. As we watch on pit road for Burrell, there he comes over the crest. And he'll hit his pit box. A solid stint there to start out on alternate tires. Coming in on lap number 14 or at end of 13. Make sure you find your pit box there, Kevin. Don't want to miss it. Looks like he's right on his mark. So no worries there for him, as he's going to lose a few positions, but get back out. Let's see what tires he decides to take. It's going to be another set of the alternates. So despite the drop-off late in the run, is that right for Kevin Burrell? Timing and scoring is showing us that he's on primaries. Pictures seem to look like alternates. They do look like alternates, so we have a little bit of a disagreement here between timing and scoring and what we see on screen. I wonder if we switch away from the driver. Sometimes they need to reload those images. But right now it looks like on track, Kevin Burrell running the alternate tires. We'll keep you folks updated on that. As timing and scoring again shows him on the primaries. We'll maybe get back to that in just a little while. Meanwhile, just outside the top 10, Jari Brubaker continues his fight back. Currently sits in the 13th position, chasing down Jared Rexing. Trying to get by the 10 car as he's going to look to the inside here. Not quite close enough to make the move. Gonna have to wait just a little bit longer. As the battle continues on, more cars taking to pit road. Eric Troiano, Victor Del Porto, Nicholas Sudik, Nick DeGroot, all on pit road right now. All trying to get off. There, I believe most of them alternate tires. Sudik actually was one of those guys on primaries during that first stint. It looks like he's back out on primaries once again. We go back to Kevin Burrell. Let's see if we can trick the system here. Still thinks he's running those red sidewall tires, so a little bit unsure there. Unfortunately, can't give you guys a straight answer as to the tires that Burrell is running. Up front, Van de Sant leads the way as our race leader has come down pit road. and already taken his first stop. As now Van de Sant on pit road, and it's a slow pit lane here. Unfortunately for Van de Sant, just has to wait, trundling down there, and you'd imagine that Joshua Chin is going to be well clear here of the one car, especially with that undercut. Just probably working a little bit in his favor, extend that gap just a bit. As, yeah, Joshua Chin's going to fly on by just as Van de Sant hits his box. There goes Chin. Drives on by. And there's Van de Sant just now rolling out of his pit box, so it looks like it's probably going to be about a 10-second or so gap between the two of them. It was about 8.2 when they both came on and off pit road. It's actually going to be less. How about that? Van de Sant, 6 seconds, and we've seen this time and time again. We've talked about this before from Alex Van de Sant. But the amount of time that he shaves off coming on and off of pit road is simply astounding. It really is, and it's one of those areas that you think is, you know, the best controlled, and one of the hardest places to gain time. But I mean, take this for example, on and off pit road. So when you kind of hit the pit limiter to when you get off it, Alex Van de Sant 46.77 seconds. Joshua Chin, a whole 2 seconds slower than that. Even stationary in their pit box, Van de Sant's pit crew a second faster than Joshua Chin's, giving Van de Sant an opportunity here to compete. Now he has to, of course, still close 6.5 seconds, or at least maintain that gap for another shot at it later in the race. But, I mean, he's been hugely impressive, and that isn't a one-off. That's something we see time and time again here from the driver than one car. Where he just is able to gain so much time on everybody else, you know, on and off of pit road. Those in and out laps are great. You know, his time on the actual pit road is, as we can see, just completely unrivaled. And it's pretty incredible. I don't quite know how he does it. You know, I don't know where you're finding a whole second just on pit lane without it classifying as speeding. So, you know, Van de Sant has found something that's worked for him. Or it's just, you know, it's enough work that it's been highly efficient for Van de Sant at this point, and it's benefiting him in races time and time again. Right now, again, 6.5 seconds after being 8.5 seconds before heading on to pit road behind Joshua Chin. Also now extends his gap over Adriano Pinheiro to 2.5 seconds, so kind of nullifies that battle that they were having for the second spot. Here we go, Nicholas Sudik versus Victor Del Porto. Battle on for 8th position. As Sudik continues to chase down Del Porto, let's ride on board with the driver of the number 87 car here, as he chases down that 27 in front. Troiano 5 seconds ahead of this duo. That's a lapped car just ahead. We'll see how that factors in as well to this battle. There you can see Del Porto looking strong on the entry to the carousel. Maybe Sudik kind of has a better exit off of that, so Sudik scrubbing more speed early on to give himself this better exit down this long straightaway. Smart play there from Nicholas Sudik. It's not going to give him the run that he wants in the Canada corner, but it's going to potentially give him a chance heading into turn number 1 if he gets this next section of corners just right. A little bit of understeer through Canada corner. Needs to be careful here. You're going to have the aero wash. Bit of a wiggle from Del Porto. Again, you're just looking for weakness. Not going to be close enough, I don't think, this time into 1. Unless he gets a spectacular exit. That's a good one. And Sudik, is he going to be using the button this time by? He's not. As Frankenfield and Smith both make their second pit stops of the day. Sudik, here we go, into 1 and 2. maybe going to try and set himself up once again outside of turn 3. On the run down into 4. Late on the brakes there. He's going to miss the apex just a little bit. That's going to hurt his exit off the corner, and that's going to take away a chance, I think, to really grab that position into 4. He's not on the button. And that gap will stay right now between Sudik and Del Porto. Good little battle we've got going on here for the 6th position. Once again, closest battle we have on the racetrack. After green flag pit stops, more or less, guys kind of spread out. We should hopefully be getting a little bit of entertainment, though, coming back from Chad Frankenfield, Hunter Smith, as they've both come off pit road. And should have, in theory, much faster tires now than the drivers in front of them. And it seems to be working out as things stand right now for that strategy, as they sit 9th and 11th in the running order. Here comes Sudik, once again looking into Canada corner. There's a little bit of dust pick up there on the apex. Look at just how close these guys are through the final section of bends. Sudik, though, just not getting the exits that he needs to stay competitive with Del Porto, and credit to Del Porto because he's been doing a great job at getting the exit speed where he needs it to take away that advantage that Sudik has in the corners. Because as things stand right now, it definitely does seem like it is advantage to Sudik, in the twisty bits. And I wonder if we can take a look and see if there's a reasoning for that. They both pitted on the same lap. But yeah, Sudik has just been a little bit stronger since coming off pit road. But that last time around, actually matching each other perfectly in terms of lap time. Move on a little bit further back. Big lockup. No change in position just yet. A little bit further back, following the Chad Frankenfield, Hunter Smith strategy and story. They currently sit 5 seconds behind Jared Rexing. Well, we'll see exactly how this particular strategy works for them. Closing that gap pretty quickly on the 10 car. They'll have that pace advantage, but once they get past Rexing, it's 20 seconds up the road to Nicholas Sudik. So, it could be an 8th position there for Frankenfield and a 9th for Wright at the end of this one, which would not be bad. That's where they qualified. But yeah, that different strategy going to allow them at least to push kind of the entire race. They're not having to worry about conservation, I think, nearly as much as anybody else here on the racetrack, as Del Porto, once again, so close. Nicholas Sudik is through those that final section of corners, and then final turn, Del Porto does just enough to pull out, but there's an advantage now for Sudik. He's close. He might make this move into 1 because he's on push to pass. He looks to the inside. Nicholas Sudik up against the pit wall. He's going to get clear of Del Porto before they even get to the corner, and there you go. Nicholas Sudik up into 6th position, but he needs to be careful off the exit. A little bit slow, and that's going to give Del Porto now a shot to look to the outside in 3. Not going to get there, but does he have a run now into turn number 4? This battle far from over, and they're giving us a great show here for the 6th position. Sudik going to defend the inside line, it looks like. Going to force Del Porto to go to the outside. That's a tough place to make that move around the outside for Del Porto. He's going to try the switchback. Doesn't quite get the drive off the corner that he needs, and Sudik is going to stay ahead for now. Great battling between these two here on this spectacular racetrack. Meanwhile, we'll keep an eye out because the battle between Van de Sant and Pinheiro could be heating up for 2nd as well once again. Van de Sant hasn't been able to make inroads on Joshua Chin. Pinheiro, however, has been closing that gap to Van de Sant. But we'll wait till they're within maybe half a second of each other, because right now this battle that we've got going on for 6th is spectacular, because here goes Del Porto around the outside, late on the brakes and Canada corner. No way does he make that move stick, and he doesn't. But man, he almost made it. Del Porto, what a move and what a battle that these drivers are putting on. Unbelievable showing right now from both of them. It shows Del Porto on the red sidewall tires on your screens. We do believe, though, he is running primaries. We do believe they're on the same strategy altogether. Both currently running primary tires, and with that, a little bit of breathing room now for Nicholas Sudik. And as we wait for Del Porto to maybe get a little bit closer, we maybe shift our attention to Van de Sant and Pinheiro. Two very close battles on the racetrack. We're going to try and follow them both as they go on, and keep the action with you guys throughout this event. All right, tough to say exactly where Pinheiro is faster than Van de Sant just yet, just moving in and observing this battle from the start. Van de Sant, though, pulled out just a little bit from Pinheiro in the most recent sectors. And seems to back up what we've seen in qualifying. Kind of sectors 3 and 4 are advantage Van de Sant, but 1, 3, 5, and possibly 6 as well, advantage Pinheiro. As here we go, starting lap number 22. Joshua Chin, 7 seconds up the road from this battle. But Van de Sant and Pinheiro, they've dueled a number of times before, very familiar with each other on the racetrack. Both, it seems, veterans at this point, which certainly ages how long I've been calling the races here, because I remember Adriano Pinheiro's very first race in the INDYCAR Series. Certainly set the world alight there with his just raw ability and pace, and has since refined it into not just a ridiculously quick driver as we've seen these past few weeks, but also a driver who, when he doesn't have the #1 car on the racetrack, is still able to put that car second, third, fourth in the race and pick up those valuable championship points, and that's why he currently leads this championship by almost 50. He wants the second place, too, if Joshua Chin is going to be the eventual victor. He wants that second place to really nullify the gap that Pinheiro is going to gain, or excuse me, that Chin, the number of points that Chin is going to gain and close that gap. He wants to make that as small as possible. Right now, Van de Sant stands in his way of doing that. Van de Sant slides it through Canada corner. This is just beautiful driving from both of these drivers. And it's great to just watch how they tackle this racetrack, this Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, one of the greatest tracks really in the United States. Just unbelievable the way they've put together this track. And I know NASCAR was here for 1 year, and it was one of their best races, I think, that year. Unfortunately, immediately went away from it. Hopefully, it's a track that we continue to see more of. We have it, of course, in the INDYCAR Series, but hope to see more racing action and more love for this track, because it is pretty spectacular. Under the Sargento Bridge they go. And once again, into turn number 4, Van de Sant leads Pinheiro by about half a second. Pinheiro unable to close that up, though, at this point in time. Update on the Sudik versus Del Porto battle. That gap's open up to about 9/10 of a second. Fluctuates every now and then, but doesn't look like Del Porto's quite in striking distance just yet. Meanwhile, up front, Joshua Chin still putting in personal best sector times. And it really seems like that first sector is where he's finding a lot on other drivers, which is funny when you think about it as just a single corner. But Joshua Chin, 1/10 of a second virtually faster than anybody else on the racetrack in just that first corner. And that just goes to show the extent of his advantage that he has right now in this race. Now, when it comes to absolute lap time, the others, Van de Sant and Pinheiro, as well as actually I will say Kevin Burrell, who's been spectacular this race, all very close to his ideal lap time, or his best lap time so far today. But yeah, I mean, that first corner, just that I think it's the high speed commitment, I think, where Joshua Chin really has just a great feel for this car. He knows and is able to find that limit of grip so much better, I think, than just about anybody else in this league. Meanwhile, you kind of look at guys maybe in the slower speed corners, they can take advantage of their driving styles, but in high speed cornering, seems like that's just kind of that advantage for Chin. And there, turn one, you're on the brakes, but it's still huge commitment, huge amount of speed, and you're just feeling for that limit of grip the entire way through there until finally the car sticks and you're comfortable to kind of get ready for turn 3, which you don't have much time for anyways. But that's always a tricky corner to line up just right. But Joshua Chin seems to be doing it with not much issue. So let's do a quick rundown, as we got a few battles on the racetrack, but let's run you folks through the field. It's really been, as we have Mark Murphy off the racetrack. He'll get back on in front of the leader, but Joshua Chin kind of picking up where he left off at Mid-Ohio. Hasn't been touched since the green flag dropped, and seems perfectly happy to sit behind Rexing there, maybe save a bit of fuel, get a little bit of draft. But no major issues there for the two-time race winner already this season, looking to go for 3. Alex Van de Sant, defending series champion, hasn't been the start to the season he's been hoping for. He's been good, but it hasn't been championship great. Could he turn things around here in the second half of the season? Right now, a solid run to P2 would be good for him, but right now, first and third are the 2 leaders in the championship, so not as much inroads as he may hope to be making. How about championship leader Adriano Pinheiro, though? He's still looking to fight back, get past Alex Van de Sant, and limit the damage that could be done to his championship lead here today if Joshua Chin puts that 93 car in victory lane. As Van de Sant goes a little bit wide heading into 4. Maybe gave Pinheiro a look. But these 3 drivers kind of starting to separate themselves from the rest of the pack, because it's a whole 13 seconds on back to Kevin Burrell. But Burrell, let's give him a massive shout out. The rookie right now sits some ways behind those 3 leaders, but those are the 3 championship leaders. They're the 3 guys who really are your favorites for this championship in the long run, that you look at and say, yeah, I'm taking one of those guys. Kevin Burrell right now 10 seconds ahead of anybody else, ahead of Eric Troiano, who's an extremely good driver there in the 14 car. But Burrell holding his own right now, putting together a spectacular race, had a great first stint. Since then, has fallen off a little bit, unable to sustain that same pace, but he's shown that he can fight with those guys up front, and looking forward to seeing more from the driver number 52 here in not too long of a time. Speaking of Eric Troiano, here he is in 5th position, 10 seconds behind Kevin Burrell, but 10 seconds ahead of Victor Del Porto. 2 drivers with somewhat lonely races. Troiano had a couple of fights early on in the first stint, but since pit stops has been on his own, and has been just running laps, making sure he's hitting all his marks, doing everything he needs to do to bring home potentially a very solid top 5 finish. Victor Del Porto then running in the 6th position. Again, we've seen him involved in a few different battles. Of course, the battle that he had with Nicholas Sudik. Currently, Del Porto now sits ahead of Sudik on the racetrack for 6th position, and does so by 4 seconds. So 4 seconds back is the 87 car. Struggled a little bit after, I think, that overtake, and hasn't quite had the pace to match Del Porto. In fact, that last lap, 4 seconds off, it was a mistake. That's cost Nicholas Sudik. Let's see, as he crossed the line again, back somewhat on terms, but still a 47.2. Not quite where you want to be when the rest of the field is ahead of you, is running kind of mid 46s to low 46s if you're in that group, that top 4 group. Chad Frankenfield then running in 8th. Remember, he's the first driver who's already run 2 stops in this race. So planning to take 1 extra stop in this one. And right now working out okay for the driver number 15 car. Looked maybe like it might not have been the best call in that first stint, but after that second stop, he returns back to the 8th position, but has a tall order if he wants to move up any further, because Nicholas Sudik 20 seconds up the road. As we go back over to the second place battle as Adriano Pinheiro has made the move into Canada corner. He was side by side. He gets ahead. Adriano Pinheiro is into second on the racetrack ahead of Alex Van de Sant, as that battle will continue to rage on. We'll follow this down these next 2 straightaways to see if Van de Sant can fight back before we head back to our run through the field. Van de Sant, what has he got? He's not going to use push to pass this time by. Comfortable sitting in the draft of the 56. A little bit of grass there, pick up for the 56. Is that going to give him an opportunity here for Van de Sant off of 3? Take a look and see here what their gaps look like. As it stands right now, looks like no significant change in pace between the two of them. It looks like for now, Pinheiro will maintain second position. So great job, a great move from him. Back to Frankenfield in 8th. Has a tall order if he wants to get by Nicholas Sudik. He's taking chunks of time out of that gap, but 20 seconds is still 20 seconds, and that's going to take you a while if you're only taking about half a second per lap. That's just not enough laps left in this race. Hunter Smith in a similar boat where he's just, again, in kind of his own race. 8 seconds behind Chad and Frankenfield. 21 seconds ahead of Dudas Castroneves. So Hunter Smith could be on for a solid 9th place finish as well. Castroneves up 7 from his starting spot. He's the biggest mover of today's race. In fact, he's the first driver who's changed positions in this race into the running order. From 1 through 9, everybody is exactly where they took the green flag. So Castroneves having a solid night there, recovering from maybe not his best of qualifyings, as Chris Wright was running 11th, now hits pit road. Could kick off this next cycle of pit stops there, as here he rolls down. But yeah, I mean, it's been an impressive showing as well from Chris Wright, kind of getting his footing more and more within this IndyCar series. We've seen him be very competitive at ovals especially, but to see him running kind of verge of top 10 here at a road course is promising signs there for the rookie. Looking forward to seeing what more he has. Mark Murphy, meanwhile, the man who currently sits 3rd in the championship, not a huge fan of these road courses. Again, didn't love Mid-Ohio, the race there, and isn't loving Road America either, but still up 3 from his starting position, making sure that he's not losing too much out from those other drivers around him. But he's still having a great season. He's having a great day as well. Chris Wright then, of course, coming off pit road in 14th. You go back to Michael Hossack is the last car on the lead lap and the 15th car in row. Hossack has just been consistent all day long. Currently sits 6 seconds behind Chris Wright, who did just pit. So Hossack, another one of those guys kind of in a little bit of his own race, just kind of hitting his own numbers, hitting his marks and running his race well, but ahead of a number of drivers who've had issues today. And he is the second to last of running drivers, but Ryan Schultz currently sits 4 laps down, is the last of the running drivers. Jari Brubaker, Bill Colley, Robert Smith, Eric Macedo, Tiago Benedetti, and Tate Lytle all out of this race, as well as Rodrigo Franzoni in 23rd. Kevin Burrell, we said, was on pit road. He comes out in P7 on a fresh set of primary tires. So now Burrell, again, we're going to assume primary tires, even though the pictures seem to indicate alternates. We're going to trust timing and scoring here more than we trust the visual display in iRacing. It's not too sure which one to believe, though, I suppose, as Pinheiro also now on pit road. Does Van de Sant respond? He decides to stay out for another lap. Pinheiro and Troiano both on pit road as Pinheiro just hits his pit box. You forget just how long this pit road is sometimes. It felt like it was a while back that he was there, but I mean, you're on there for 48 seconds. It's going to roll off, and it's going to be 47.63. A good pit stop there from Adriano Pinheiro, but one would imagine that Van de Sant might be able to eke out a lead again over Pinheiro. He might be able to jump the 56 on and off pit road here It's going to be close, but we know how good Van de Sant's been on and off of, on and off the pit lane. Of course, Joshua Chin still leading the way, now by 10 seconds. When will he make the call to come down to pit? Likely the last stop of the race as well for these drivers is coming up to 16 laps to go in this one. Should be able to carry that to the end. It'll be a longer stint, but one would imagine here that 2 stop it will be sufficient, as Chin is going to dive onto pit road. So here comes the leader. 10 seconds behind. Does Van de Sant follow? Let's take a look and see. Off the final corner. No, he does not. Van de Sant stays out for one more lap. There's Chin, stationary. Going to temporarily lose the lead. Pinheiro, meanwhile, long ways back, and unfortunately for him, unlikely to close that gap too significantly to Joshua Chin. We'll see what it looks like, though, when he comes off pit road. Chin, stationary, hits his marks, is dropped off, gets a full tank of fuel, and here he goes. Pinheiro down the main straightaway, but Chin already into turn number 1. As we look at what that gap currently looks like, it's going to be about 8.5 seconds. So that's the gap that Pinheiro has now ahead of him. Van de Sant, what can he do? Currently sits about 35 seconds ahead of Adriano Pinheiro on track. We know he can be on and off pit road in about 46 seconds, but of course it's a long pit road, so tough to say exactly what that crossover time is. That puts you in the danger zone, but one would imagine that this is a big push lap here from Van de Sant. He's put in solid Sector 1, Sector 2, Sector 3, and Sector 4 so far. We'll see how he looks in the final sectors, and if he's going to opt to finally bring that one car down pit road. Here he comes off the final corner, and he does. So pit stop for Alex Van de Sant, final one of the day, most likely. And make sure you get that stopped in time there, Alex, but it looks like he did. And now the waiting game begins. Can he jump Adriano Pinheiro? That is the question. 35 seconds, the gap between the two of them. It's going to be very close, I think, between them. It may be advantage Van de Sant, depending on how quick he can be in and out of his box. Keep an eye out. Reminder, Adriano Pinheiro, 47.63 time on pit road with a 9.4 second pit stop. Van de Sant currently waiting, loses the lead. 9.5 second pit stop for Van de Sant, and is going to be 47 seconds as well off pit road, just ahead of Adriano Pinheiro. How about that? But cold tires for Van de Sant, warm tires for Pinheiro. Can Van de Sant hold on here into 3, out of 3, and into 4? Because here comes Pinheiro. Does the 56 get on the button? Does he think he has a run? He doesn't. He's conserving his push to pass still. At this point, he's currently lost that position to Van de Sant, and Van de Sant now with fresher tires. Pinheiro's got his work cut out for him if he wants to get back past the driver, the number 3. Or excuse me, the driver, the number 1. Frankenfield and Smith back on pit road for probably their last pit stop of the night. When they last hit pit road, it was, let's take a look and see if we can spot that. Don't actually remember. But should be able to take this, 25 to go, so we will still have one more pit stop. I can't do math today, such as where my brain is at, folks, on Friday. So we will still have, of course, one more pit stop in this race before anything is certainly decided. So stick with us. Way more than 15 laps to go. Van de Sant going to try and clear Chris Wright, Use that lapped car. If he can get right between him and Pinheiro into one, that'll certainly help. But Wright not making life easy for Van de Sant. Finally, Van de Sant going to get there. And, ooh, does Wright go off track? Keeps it on the road. And now does Pinheiro look to the inside? Ooh, this could be close here. Chris Wright, though, does a good job. Oh, I was going to say does a good job getting out of the way, but contact there on the left rear tire of Pinheiro. Hopefully no damage for either of those drivers. Chris Wright doesn't want to lose that lap to these guys, and he's going to look to the inside. Is he going to go for it? No, he's going to back out. These are two of the leaders that you're dueling with there just a little bit. Want to be careful what you do there when you're a lap down car. All right, so watching Pinheiro, now a second and a half behind Van de Sant after a little bit of a slip up there. Hunter Smith back on pit road. A little bit surprising there for the 17 car, but that probably is not as surprising there. Big damage for the 17, and we're going to head to the iRace Online replay, or excuse me, the Whiskey Cast replay there. I'm really rolling back the years here. And we're going to see what happened here to Hunter Smith that damaged that 17 car. It looks like it's going to be happening in this final corner. Well, you've seen catch a couple of guys off guard already. Down there, nab some of the grass, and oh, is he going to hit the wall? He is hard into that tire barrier. Fortunately for him, it's a short drive back to pit road. But man, not a great sign there for Smith. His teammate, Chad Frankenfield, on that same strategy. Right now, still chasing down Nicholas Sudik. That's 18 seconds up the road to Sudik. 17 seconds on back to Jared Rexing. So Frankenfield very much in a world on his own. And in fact, pretty much every driver right now not really able to see many other drivers around them. Again, closest battle we have is Van de Sant Pinheiro. And right now, that sits at over a second between the two of them. So, so not too much close racing really happening throughout the field right now. But still, going to keep following this action here because it's going to probably get closer here between these two leaders especially. And we apologize for you folks who maybe are sick of seeing the leaders all the time, but let me tell you, there's a reason why we're showing them is because they've been putting on a great race for us back and forth throughout this one. Advantage is back in Van de Sant's hands, and Pinheiro trying to get back past the defending series champion. All right, so Van de Sant, watch the gap there. That's Pinheiro just behind him. Really, again, the only two cars that are able to see each other out on the racetrack. The rest of the field spread out as it stands. Could potentially see a battle between Wright and Castroneves coming up relatively shortly, but right now as it stands, 1.5 seconds between the two of them. So the battle is going to continue here. Van de Sant, Pinheiro. We're going to enjoy this onboard here, watching that 56 car and riding on board with the one car around a lap, or a few laps even here, of Road America. In fact, I'm gonna have myself shut up here for a moment and let's enjoy the sound of these IndyCar engines around the great Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. right back to it following this battle here. Great sound of the Indy cars around the forest here. And Alex Van de Zandt's been able to hold on so far versus Adriano Pinheiro on this particular run. We've normally seen, though, where Pinheiro comes strong is going to be towards the end of this tire run. So keep an eye out for that as the laps continue to tick away. We're now within 20 laps to go of completing this race. So probably about half an hour here left in this one. Meanwhile, maybe another close battle appearing on the racetrack as Castroneves looking to make a move on Jared Rexing. Now sits half a second behind the number 10 car, the next quick car, and there's a lockup from Rexing. Could we be seeing a little bit of struggle here from the American? Could also be seeing there the, actually I think we have seen struggle from the American because that last lap he ran was a 1:57, a mistake then, I believe, from Jared Rexing. Unless, of course, he just came off pit road, which might actually be exactly what he did. He did, in fact, just come off pit road. So a stop for Rexing. Brings him close to Castroneves, excuse me there. But unfortunately, I think we may be robbed of a battle here as Rexing on those fresher tires already has the track position. Well, that's certainly not going to stop Castroneves here from trying to get closer to attack this 10 car. 0.6 of a second opens up to about 7. So just not close enough this time by, likely, for Castroneves. Close enough for Pinheiro, not quite either. Heading into the kink, and again, this is just high-pressure racing for both of these drivers, and they have very rarely put a toe wrong. Wide for Van de Zandt, though, off of 3. Does that give Pinheiro a chance? He's on the, no, Pinheiro not on the button. Does he have an opportunity into 4 late on the brakes? He's not going to dive out, though, for that move. Not quite yet. He was a little bit too far back. But Van de Zandt certainly looking vulnerable right now, and Pinheiro trying to just hop on the right opportunity to get past this one car once again. These two have probably swapped positions more times than just about any other pair of drivers in this race so far today. It's been some great battling between them. And they've just put on a show for us throughout these, throughout these 35 laps so far. So typically at this point, I'd have a discussion with my co-commentator, and we would discuss who our picks were for the win. With no co-commentator today, might save that little picks competition for another week there when we have Derek or Justin back with us in the booth. Does seem potentially a little bit silly to bet against Joshua Chin, but still early enough days to know that anything can happen at this racetrack. But with a spread out field, very low likelihood of a caution to come out as well, just with the type of racetrack that we have, with as much runoff there is, at least of grass runoff. Seems pretty unlikely, barring kind of a mistake then from Joshua Chin, which can happen. But we'll keep an eye out there for that. Right now, as things stand, 11 seconds up on Van de Zandt. As these two continue to battle, the better and better it looks for Joshua Chin. And this feels like the same Joshua Chin we've seen from about a month ago when he went on that 2-race win streak and blew the competition away. Reminder that one more pit stop is still expected for these drivers. As they'll need that one more to make it to the end of this one. We'll see when they decide to take that and what tires they choose to have for the end of this race. That's going to be important for how much you can attack. Pinheiro then through Canada corner. chasing down Van de Sant. And onwards to begin lap number 38. And continues to be the closest battle on the racetrack, the closest story to follow on the racetrack. Could we be seeing a battle stewing soon between Chris Wright and Nick DeGroot? We'll let you folks know at home when we get an indication of that. But, I mean, just a shout-out to what Joshua Chin has done today, because right now he's lapped everybody through Jared Rexing in 9th position. And is not potentially too far away from putting Chad Frankenfield down a lap as well with the pace that he's running right now. 2 seconds a lap faster than Frankenfield. And Frankenfield, we know, is on fresher tires, albeit not by that many laps. But I mean, just an unbelievable job that Joshua Chin has been doing here at Road America. And kind of just a reminder, I think potentially, the rest of the field was lulled a little bit by his performance at Homestead Miami Speedway, which, by the way, was still a 3rd place finish. But yeah, tonight is going to be very interesting. It's going to be an interesting discussion with Joshua Chin to see him back on track. And of course, his focus is this championship. Adriano Pinheiro being 2nd maybe won't be the best for Chin, but he's still making inroads then on the championship leader and his primary rival this season. Unfortunately, we haven't seen too many races where both Chin and Pinheiro have shared the same level of dominance, and we've gotten to see a real dogfight between the two of them. But we'll certainly settle for this battle that we have here between Pinheiro and Van de Sant for 2nd, because they've been putting on an absolute show and have been really just hitting each other blow for blow around this racetrack. I mean, the last lap they completed identical lap times, this time by. We'll take a look and see how much they really vary. Pinheiro actually puts in his best lap of the race to get by Van de Sant. Excuse me, completely missed that. My bad. As we'll head back as we were watching that incident, and it was there into Canada corner, where Pinheiro was able to slide on by. My apologies, folks. Excuse me, not even into Canada corner. That was into turn number 4. Ironically, even when you're the only person calling the race, still a lot of things that you can miss even when you're staring right at them. So apologies, folks. Sometimes that stuff just doesn't register quite as quickly. I mentioned Chris Wright versus Nick DeGroot. Nick DeGroot now right on the gearbox of the 57 car. Keep an eye out for Pinheiro. He set a the fastest lap of the race on the lap that he passed Van de Sant. It looks like he's set for another solid lap as well. Went fastest again in the 1st sector. Since then has not put in any personal bests, but is putting in some impressive pace and has already gapped Van de Sant by 1.5 seconds. So it looks like pace-wise advantage Pinheiro right now, as DeGroot's still looking for a way past Chris Wright. Could be a 3-way fight as well starting to form here, as both of them are actually closing in here on 10th place Castroneves. So this could be a fantastic little battle that we're going to have forming here. Guys, we'll take a look and see. Castroneves extends his gap out over DeGroot, 1.5 seconds. Chris Wright on pit road. Pinheiro, meanwhile, 2 seconds now, clear of Van de Sant. And on his most recent lap. Good gap, but he closed about 0.5 second to Joshua Chin. Of course, he's running out of laps there. And just yeah, unlikely that that Chin is really using all his pace as well right now. So yeah, I mean, if you're Pinheiro, you're probably at this point you're just making sure you consolidate that second place finish. De Groot within a second of Castroneves for the 10th position. When you folks updated with the stories on the racetrack, Chad Frankenfield, remember doing one extra stop, kind of back on the same strategy now with everybody else. So really zero threat from behind. Jared Rexing almost an entire minute behind Chad Frankenfield. But what's unfortunate for Frankenfield is the 16 seconds that he still has to Nicholas Sudik. He's closed that gap little by little, but unfortunately, again, just simply running out of laps there for the American driver. Van de Sant with a fastest sector 1. So finding pace there in the first corner. Hoping to maybe respond, get back within striking distance of Pinheiro for the next cycle of pit stops that are going to be coming up here relatively shortly, one would imagine. And that's going to be critical there. If he can be within kind of that maybe 2 seconds even, he could jump Pinheiro once again. And we've seen it takes a number of laps there for the 56 to finally get by the 1 each stint. And could run out of laps potentially there for Pinheiro. Though admittedly, 15 laps around Road America is still a very, very long time. Pinheiro is on pit road. Generally, very little radio chatter as well from any of the drivers. Been listening into that all night long, and occasionally you'll hear people talking about certain incidents and certain things going on the track, but overall, knock on wood, a very clean race between drivers, a lot of respect between the drivers, good racing, as we are robbed of a battle right there as Castroneves dives onto pit road, just as De Groot took to the outside to try and get by him on the racetrack. Pinheiro then off of pit road, Troiano onto pit road, such as the gap between them. And Chin now leads Pinheiro by about 34 seconds on the racetrack, which is admittedly less time. Or excuse me, no, he does not. That's quite a bit more than that. It's 34 seconds between Pinheiro and Van de Sant. And if you're Van de Sant, you're looking at that gap and thinking that is a very manageable gap to try and get out back in front of Adriano Pinheiro. So, could we see Van de Sant make that jump again? And could we see a whole other battle once again between these two drivers as we run another pit stop cycle, this time to the end? And who's going to be the winner of that one? Because again, Pinheiro seems to get better with age on those tires. Van de Sant, great on and off of pit road, gives him the track position early on and makes it tough for Pinheiro to fight back. Van de Sant going to stay out another lap as Chin is now on pit road. Race leader. Gonna get stationary there. 47 seconds back to Adriano Pinheiro. So barring any massive issues on pit road for Chin, he'll be pretty well clear of the 56 car and his main championship rival. And in fact, was that a fuel-only stop? That was a ridiculously quick stop. It was 8.6 seconds. So maybe not that crazy there. So didn't have to take a full tank of fuel potentially for Chin. And back out on the racetrack now. Van de Sant. The question that we're asking, 34 seconds ahead of Pinheiro. Last time around, it was 35 seconds in an on-off pit road. Van de Sant was able to get that gap and stay ahead of Adriano. On and off pit road this time by Pinheiro, 47.58, and he is pushing like crazy, putting in purple sector times lap after lap, using push to pass lap after lap to make sure that he will have the track position over Van de Sant. Make sure that Van de Sant does not overtake Pinheiro. But is it going to be enough? It's still, it's 33.5 seconds right now. That might just be enough in Pinheiro's favor to stay ahead of Van de Sant, unless Van de Sant gets another one of those monstrous fast, pit stop times. We'll take a look here. I'd imagine we're going to see the one car in this lap off of turn number 4. He is going to dive to the right and on to pit road, and now we wait. Where is Pinheiro? He's just now heading through the kink. Okay, so 12 laps to go, now 11 laps to go. Van de Sant is passed by Joshua Chin on the racetrack. There. And now Pinheiro heading down the front straightaway. Van de Sant still stationary. Pinheiro, I think, is going to get him pretty handily. Here they come, merging. It is Pinheiro. Advantage to the 56 car over the 1 this time by. So not enough for Van de Sant. Was he slow on pit road? No, he was exceptionally quick. 45.45 versus a 47.58 pit lane time. But that outlap by Adriano Pinheiro was just bonkers. And when I say bonkers, I mean unfathomable pace from Adriano Pinheiro there on a full tank of fuel. With those fresh, I believe, alternate tires here to end the race. 144.11. We talked about the race lap record, what the track record was around this racetrack. It was a low 44. I'm going to have to double check here as Pinheiro somehow managed to break that, because that is an unbelievable time. Going to dive into the record books here. Henry Bennett's 144.169. Adriano Pinheiro now hosts the fastest ever race lap around Road America in an IndyCar at a 144.11. Unbelievable pace there by Pinheiro. Gets him the second place on the racetrack and breaks the track record. Fantastic run by him so far today. And ironically, he's still 11 seconds behind our race leader. Just goes to show the ridiculous pace. It's been the relentless pace from Chin that's been what's so impressive, and it's throughout the run that he just doesn't seem to lose momentum. He doesn't seem to lose pace. He'll hit a fast lap and just stay there. So Pinheiro with the higher high, but Joshua Chin just having zero peaks in his driving, and now, after that flying lap by Pinheiro, a little bit off the pace on the next lap, and this has opened the door for Van de Sant to fight back. Could Van de Sant get the position back on Pinheiro? He is clear before turn number 4 already, and those fresher tires, 2-lap fresher tires for Alex Van de Sant, paying dividends right there, has Pinheiro, by trying to get the track position, trying so hard, pushing for that fast lap of the race. Has he burned through his stuff too quickly? Will he have something to fight back with later in this run? 10 laps to go. But now it looks like advantage Van de Sant at the end of this race. Incredible battle between these two drivers. It's been just an absolute pleasure to watch them race all night long. So we're inside 10 to go. Gonna cross over, and it's gonna be 9 to go for Joshua Chin, which doesn't seem like much, but around this racetrack, 9 laps can certainly take an eternity. If you're Joshua Chin, you're just making sure that every corner you take You're giving yourself margin. You're making sure that every move you make, you're not putting yourself at risk of losing that advantage that you've spent all race building up. 11.5 seconds to two of the fastest drivers that we've seen tonight. Both have put in unbelievable runs. Van de Sant putting in his personal best lap of the race on that last lap of 44.41, still 0.3 slower than what Pinheiro did, but still faster than Joshua Chin's best lap time of the race. But the fastest lap doesn't matter at the end of the day. It's that average lap time, of course, over 55 laps, and who can race those laps in the shortest amount of time possible. And so far it's been Joshua Chin. So again, the highs have been with Van de Sant and Pinheiro, but they've also come with the lows. Joshua Chin steady as ever, never fluctuating, never showing any sign of faltering as he continues to lap around this 4-mile purpose-built racetrack in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Road America, a little bit wide there off Canada corner, but that maybe a little bit wide it looked, or maybe that was just about perfectly spaced there to where the grass began and the tarmac ended. It's been an absolute pleasure watching Joshua Chin hit the racing scene here in the elite racing leagues, and again put the entire league on notice. And it's been incredible to watch what he can do and the way that he can extract performance from this car like seemingly nobody else can. It's been an impressive showing here, and of course still has the rookie designation on his name, which seems almost silly at this point to be stating, but you know, procedure is procedure. But Joshua Chin has certainly proved that he's no rookie. He is very serious and is a very serious threat to the championship if he pulls this one off today. If he does, it'll be 3 apiece, Chin and Pinheiro. The only difference being that Pinheiro has had just more races to his name. Chin missed the Nashville Super Speedway event that was dominated by Adriano Pinheiro. And, well, we would have wondered what Chin could have done at that racetrack. He mentioned not loving the kind of intermediate-sized ovals. We saw at Homestead Miami Speedway. He was still very strong, but not on the same level as Pinheiro, who really loves that style of racetrack. But here at a road course, it seems like he's right back at home. At the short ovals as well, I think, is where we'll find Chin at home. And you look at Richmond in 2 weeks' time as another potential opportunity for Chin to close in on that gap, on that championship lead that Pinheiro has built up, and potentially take them more or less even heading towards the Indy 500 week, because that is going to be something spectacular. Not only qualifying, but of course the race as well. And anything can happen in the 500. We know that very, very well. And certainly there are going to be a lot more guys taking liberties on strategy. You're going to get shuffled around probably a little bit more than you are at some of these other races at these other tracks. So keep an eye out for that. There's always 500 has a way of simply shaking up the field in ways that just about no other racetrack seems to have the ability to do so. So a lot to look forward to there. And of course, the expected return, I'm not sure if it's confirmed, of 2-time series champion Henry Bennett, former Indy 500 winner as well. Henry Bennett, as he's moved on from full-time racing after 2 championships, and ultimately after a full season fight with Van de Sant, losing that championship in the final race before Van de Sant became a 2-time champion, and that also helped, I think, Bennett with that move to part-time racing, but still a force to be reckoned with whenever we do see him on the field. And I think that's going to be exciting for us for sure to look forward to. You know, Chin, Van de Sant, Pinheiro, Bennett, all on the same racetrack, hopefully racing for the same piece of racetrack at the same time there during the 500. I think that'll be fireworks for sure. But again, you never know what to expect when that race comes around, and certain drivers will pop up. I know we've got a very special month of October, or excuse me, I guess it would be month of November/December scheduled for the build up to the 500. So keep an eye out for that, folks. Gonna have some exciting races. We should hopefully have a great booth as well, bringing in some guest commentators for that race. It's a long one. So having as many friends in there as possible will be great. And also bringing in a Grand Marshal who is going to be, I think folks are going to be very excited when they hear who's going to be the Grand Marshal of the Indy 500. Going to allow for the league to announce that at the correct time. 6 laps to go for Joshua Chin. 12 seconds clear of Alex Van de Sant. And speaking of Van de Sant, clear of Pinheiro as well. Pinheiro has not had a response quite yet for the 1 car. And with 6 to go and 4 seconds to close, I don't know if he will have a response for the 1 car at all in this race. And that's a shame there. Because they had a fantastic battle brewing through the majority of this event. But in that final stint there, Van de Sant staying out just those few laps longer seemed to make the difference and really benefit him, allow him to use those fresher tires at the end, get ahead of Pinheiro, and now extend that gap. And now he has to be also careful. We've seen a couple of slip-ups from Van de Sant so far this race, and even a couple of slip-ups this season that you wouldn't expect to see from the defending series champ. But looking to be back on track is a little bit of a car lockup ahead of him. I think that was Mark Murphy as well, but looks like he's in the clear for now as he heads out of the carousel. We'll keep an eye out just ahead. I think that is the Mark Murphy car just ahead. Expect Murphy, though, to give plenty of room to the driver running in second place. Though this is his championship rival right now, at least for where they currently sit, 3rd and 4th. One would expect it to swing back in Van de Sant's favor after this race, but Murphy, plenty of opportunity to come back and fight back as he does slide out of the way there to the right-hand side of the track. As Van de Sant now hits 5 laps to go. Again, 12 seconds behind Joshua Chin. And in terms of battles out on the racetrack, really not much else going on. Victor Del Porto sitting on pit road here and has been doing so for a little while. Not too sure what happened there. Sounds like there might have been collision between Del Porto and De Groot. We're going to head to the Whiskey Cast replay and take a look. So a little bit of drama here late in the race. Here's De Groot in the 89 car, heading into Canada corner, a little bit wide. Spins it around. Is that going to be in the path of Del Porto? Oh, he's going to back it up. And, contact there from Del Porto. And both cars are going to be out of the race for that one. Shame to see that there. So now just 11 cars running in this event. It's certainly been a race of attrition for many of these drivers. Michael Hossack, we talked about it, hasn't had the most amazing pace today, 48.29, the best lap that he's put in. But what he has had is consistency. He's kept that car on the racetrack. He's done everything he needs to do. And potentially could still culminate in a top 10 position if misfortunes hit drivers in front of him still. So big shout out there to Michael Hossack, doing a great job there. Again, keeping the car on the road, that's half the battle at a track like this and at a race like this. So doing a great job right there. Mark Murphy just ahead of him, now inside the top 10. We'll be happy to pick up points for top 10. Another one of those guys where maybe hasn't been the most straightforward race. Had a couple of offs, but has kept the car out of the wall, kept himself out of significant trouble, and now looks at a top 10 finish. Dudas Castroneves also had a relatively quiet race here, but moves up a position after the incident between Del Porto and De Groot. Rexing and Frankenfield, also very quiet racing, especially for Rexing. And even for Frankenfield there, still 20 seconds behind Sudik in the 6th position. Troiano, haven't talked much about him in a little while. Again, just kind of running his own race, and there's just big gaps that we have here inside this top 10. And again, 20 seconds plus and minus for Eric Troiano to the next cars. Same with Kevin Burrell, 27 to Pinheiro, 20 to Troiano. But big shout out to Kevin Burrell. He's really separated himself, I think, as best of the rest this race. He's done an incredible job to keep that car where it is so far. And again, to be as competitive as he was early on in this race, that was a hugely impressive run from Burrell, and we're looking forward again to hopefully seeing more of that from him moving forward. Pinheiro continues to struggle with pace. Right now, actually slower than the 2 cars behind him. Of course, has a 27-second buffer, so not much to worry about. But yeah, Pinheiro just not seem to be gelling with the alternate tires, and that could be it. Is just on the alternates, burned through those a little bit too quickly, and now just hanging on to make it to the end of this race. Chin gonna hit 3 laps to go. 12 more miles to complete. Chin's going to make some serious headway on the championship lead. Especially now with Pinheiro finishing in the 3rd spot. Big gaps all throughout the field here. Smallest on the racetrack sits at 5 seconds. So every driver right now just kind of in cruise mode. Make it to the end of this one and call it a night there for these drivers. It's been an exciting race for sure. There's been some good on-track action. Especially between Van de Sant and Pinheiro early on in the event. Back and forth between them. Of course, Kevin Burrell keeping things very interesting in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th battle. In that first stint, Troiano and Sudik got close a couple of times. Victor Del Porto was in there too in that battle for 5th. Of course, we've had a variety of drivers going through that battle for the final spot in the top 10. Update, Del Porto is back out on the racetrack, so we got repairs done on that car. So 12 cars currently running and will be running hopefully at the finish. So we hit 2 laps to go. Unfortunately for Del Porto, losing those laps and losing a chunk of points there that he was hoping that he'd be able to bring home. Again, he's had a somewhat quiet season, but it's been hugely successful in the sense that he's just been consistently getting solid results. Today might be actually his worst result of the season. We'd have to go back and take a look. He might have had a couple of DNFs, but his worst finish of the season may be today, which is unfortunate there for the Brazilian driver. It's 0 concerns up front for Joshua Chin. Maintaining his gap, has 1 lapped car ahead of him. It shouldn't be too much of an issue. Can probably even just sit behind that car and never have to worry about actually going past it. I believe that is Chad Frankenfield, and that would be something else if he's able to pass and lap every car up to 6th position. That would be a pretty impressive feat there for Joshua Chin. As we take a look, there is Frankenfield just coming out of the carousel, and there is Joshua Chin just behind him. Last time around, Frankenfield ran a 47.2. Chin was a 46.5, so pace advantage with Chin as well. Both of them came down pit road on the same lap. So no tire advantage one way or the other. But here we go. Off the final corner for the white flag. It's the Whiskey Cast last call. Final lap of this race. It's been the Road America Grand Prix. It's been a pleasure to bring you folks the action here tonight. Joshua Chin, I mean, he's been more or less untouchable. And when that 93 car is on, it is so on. It is unbelievable what he's been able to achieve in such a short span of time here in the Mega Driver 86 series. Just last week, Adriano Pinheiro was credited with the most laps led of any driver in any elite racing league in history. I mean, Pinheiro has been utterly incredible when he leads laps or when he wins races. He leads all those laps. He leads a huge number of laps in a number of races. And obviously didn't end up, I don't believe, leading any laps here today for that 56 car. So I won't add to that tally, but I mean, when Joshua Chin is leading the way, I mean, you very rarely see that 93 car not in the first position. Really, outside of pit cycle, you don't see that 93 car out of position. It just doesn't happen for Chin, and he's been, inch perfect. He's been millimeter perfect today, and just like he was when we were in New Hampshire and at Mid-Ohio, there's just really no touching the driver of the number 93 car when he gels with this Dallara IR18. Heading into Canada corner for the final time, Joshua Chin. Couple more corners to bring it home. Van de Sant's closing a little bit. Chin, though, no worries at all. He has enough of a buffer to play with. One last corner, and he's going to accelerate to the line. What a drive it's been for Joshua Chin. Weave up and down the straightaway. Celebrations in the air. Three-time winner into the 2022 beach season. Joshua Chin gets it done at Road America. Continues his sweep of the road courses this season. What a drive by the driver of the number 93. Dominant fashion. Van de Sant brings it home in second, and championship leader Adriano Pinheiro brings it home P3. A little bit slow there across the line for Pinheiro. Not sure if he was running low on fuel either, but yeah. Unbelievable drive by the top three. I will say that. They have been in a world of their own, and Kevin Burrell, shout out to him. What a drive he's put in today. Fourth place finish. I'd have to check. I believe this is ties or is his best race finish of the season. So great job from him. And again, just to separate yourself from the rest of the pack like that is unbelievable. And to even be in the conversation with those three titans at the top of the charts is just an incredible feat from him. So yeah, huge props there to Kevin Burrell. And Eric Troiano going to cross the line to round out our top five. Joshua Chin. Celebrations are going to begin as they head down to turn number 4. Going to wait to see if we get donuts or if they're going to preserve the engine there on that 93 car. Certainly seems like a good one that they've got running there. As the rest of the field, though, coming through to complete their final lap. Nicholas Sudik crosses the line for 6th. Chad Frankenfield going to head out of the final corner, cross the line. We'll come home in 7th. And looks like he's the last car to complete this race. As the checkered flag will now finally wave for Chad Frankenfield as he completes. Ooh, car in the wall. Jared Rexing having a heck of a celebration to end the race. As Joshua Chin now sits and we wait for the potential celebration here for the 93 car, and there it is. We do get to witness the donuts, or even what's become almost a signature now for Joshua Chin. It's the reverse victory lap. Gotta be careful here with drivers finishing and their races, and I'm sure if this were real life, IndyCar would not be too pleased with Joshua Chin's antics here, but I don't think anybody's gonna mind too much of what he's running right now. And yeah, incredible showing from him. It's tough for anybody, I think, to really compete with what this 93 car can do. And gonna once again celebrate. Got a couple of more tire marks out on the racetrack, and then we'll get Joshua Chin in, speak with him, and go over our final race results. In fact, let's see if we can pull those up right now. There you go. Joshua Chin, Van de Sant, Pinheiro, Burrell, Eric Troiano, Nicholas Sudik, Chad Frankenfield, Jared Rexing, Deus Castroneves, and Mark Murphy making up your top 10. Michael Hossack, Victor Del Porto, Chris Wright, Nick DeGroot. Last cars classified in the race, and then a big gap back to Hunter Smith, Ryan Schold, Yari Brupiker, Bill Colley out in 18th position. Oops. And now we'll see if we can speak with our top 3 drivers. Just waiting to get any word from Joshua Chin. While we wait for him, though, we'll bring in our our second place finisher here today, Alex Van de Sant. Alex, fortunately, you and Adriano gave us a great battle throughout the race. It was kind of back and forth between the two of you. Ultimately, you coming out on top. I mean, how advantageous was the 2-lap fresher tires that you had on that last stint to get past Adriano and really make the gap stick that time?
Oh, it was huge. Yeah, I actually was gonna try to do 15 laps, like three 15 lap stints, but once he got by me in that final one, it's like, okay, I already got a 2 lap advantage. So, by the time like he'll get a big undercut on me, but by the time like I get out of the pits, his tires are already gonna be falling off. So, yeah, it played out perfectly. I think a similar thing happened at Watkins Glen, but that was for the win that time. Yeah, unfortunately, two big mistakes in the first stint took me out of contention for the win. If I had been able to stay closer to Josh in the first stint, then maybe could have made something happen with a different strategy. But yeah, fortunately, Adriano also had his own mistakes. We were kind of like stuck together for a lot of that, and yeah, just happy with how that played out.
Absolutely. I mean, it was again a great battle between the two. I do have to ask, and we've seen this on a couple of tracks now. You seem to have an advantage on and off pit road that nobody else has. Is this just practice that you've been able to nail, hitting your box right, being on the limiter perfectly? Because we're looking at sometimes you're a second or 2 seconds faster on pit road than just about anybody else, and it's impressive. And we've seen you gain so much of an advantage with what you're able to accomplish there.
Yeah, I know it's a little exaggerated at Road America. For some reason I break a lot later for pit in. But yeah, every time I enter the pits, leave my box, or just stop in my box, I treat it like it's the money stop for the win in a race. And so then when it is the money stop for the win, I know what to do and like what the limit is of the brakes and the gas and the rear tires and all that. So then I'm able to apply that to the rest of the pit stops and just gain some small advantages here and there. I know Adriano is probably pretty frustrated. I've beaten him on pit lane multiple times. I've won some big races on pit lane with that. So it's just something I've really honed over the years, and it's just kind of one of my big advantages.
Absolutely. Well, easier to gain 2 seconds on pit road than it is on the racetrack sometimes. So
Yeah.
it's a great skill to have there in your back pocket. Want to give you the chance to make some shout outs while we have you on the air.
Yeah, big thanks to everybody at Powerslide Motorsports and Turn 4 Racing. Nick Sudik had a great run, my teammate today. So, yeah, just big thanks to all of them.
All right, man. Congratulations. Back on the podium. Looking forward to speaking with you some more in the coming weeks.
Thanks, Rish.
All right, Alex Van de Sant, your second place finisher, and we're actually going to bring in third place. Adriana Pinheiro there, third place, just came short there, but a great battle throughout the race with Alex. But unfortunately, at the end, he had just a little bit better tires. Talk us through your race, Adriana.
Hello, guys. Good night. It's a pleasure to be here again. First, I would like to congratulate the podium Joshua on his victory and Alexander on P2. Well, I did a good quali lap. I started at P2, and the race I tried to save fuel and tires at the beginning of the race. Uh, I had a good pace, but I made a mistake on lap 5 or 6, but I managed to save well. uh, I have improved my pace in world tracks. I'm more confident today compared to months ago, but it's still very difficult to challenge Joshua Alexander. These guys are really impressive. I still need to take a step to challenge them, and I hope to do so in the near future. Well, finally I want to thank my teammates from Brazil, the PK Racing team, Franzoni, Rigon, Brunos, Beto, Novaes, Samuel. I want to thank my sponsor, Brad King, for support. That's it. Thank you, guys, the broadcast, and thank you for opportunity to be here again. Good night, guys. Thank you.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Adriana. All right, third place finisher there, Adriano Pinheiro. And with that, we're going to then bring in, of course, race winner in dominant fashion yet again, Joshua Chid. Josh, I mean, first of all, qualifying, was there much concern when the second lap you ended up having to abort that and you just had to sit and watch for Adriano and Alex? Or did you have kind of enough confidence in that lap? And I guess kind of after that, once the race got going, was there any kind of moments where you were thinking that maybe they had a chance, or did you feel like you had good control of that race as a whole?
I kind of figured after the first lap it had enough speed to kind of get up there and be a shot for pole. I didn't necessarily really want pole and run away with it. I wanted to be able to just save fuel, and it worked out great to start on pole, and then everyone kind of dropped back from there. Alex and Adriana both made mistakes and dropped back a ways, and ultimately that was kind of the difference that made it a smooth sail from there, and was able to just cruise through the last 3 stints of it.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it did really look like a Sunday drive out there for you, which was incredible because it was kind of a dogfight behind you, especially in that first stint with Van de Sant, Pinheiro, and Burrell, allowed you to continue to extend that gap. I mean, what is it about kind of, I guess, these natural terrain road courses as well as the short tracks that just really seem to gel with you? It seems like you just have a great feel for the car at the limit and high speed corners is the best observation I could make.
Honestly, the more technical the track gets, the more I enjoy it. And, it's the big thing about short ovals, especially in this car now, with a lot of downforce taken out of it. It's a lot more technical to drive it on short ovals and road courses. So, kind of plays more into my wheelhouse, and especially the longer races with fuel saving and things like that. I don't have to be quite up on the edge as often as a shorter race, so I can kind of take my time, plot my way through. Today was a good example of it, where I didn't think I would have the outright pace, and ultimately I don't think I did, but I was able to save fuel the first 3 stints and make it easy on myself and let the other guys kind of fall away as they were making mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, incredible run, and adds to your win tally to make it 3. You're now tied with wins with Adriano. Obviously, that missed race at Nashville still leaves you a little bit behind in points, but certainly closed up that gap significantly with him finishing 3rd today. Want to give you the chance to make some shout-outs here on the air before we go away for 2 weeks, and we'll be back in Richmond.
I got to give a shout-out to everyone at Private Label, Team Hype, and Team Talent. No one was around tonight, but still there in spirit. And thanks to you guys for putting on the broadcast, Chad and everyone at Elite for putting on the league.
Alrighty, congratulations again, Joshua Chin, 3rd race win of the season. Looking strong, moving forward. Best of luck in a couple weeks' time, man.
Thank you.
All right, it's tough to beat Joshua Chin, and especially when he's the type of the driver that just doesn't make mistakes, right? He talked about it in his interview. And you can even see it. We saw it on timing and scoring. We discussed it during the race. Absolute fastest laps belonged to Pinheiro and Van de Sant in terms of just what they could do pure pace-wise, but it was Joshua Chin who was just more consistent over the course of the race, able to build up that gap and simply was never had to look back. And so that's something that drivers are going to have to look out for. They're going to have to be able to match his pace and consistency to stay competitive. But it's been an absolute pleasure to call this race for you folks tonight. Hopefully not too much dead noise with just one commentator in the booth tonight. Hopefully we'll have our team back together in 2 weeks' time for Richmond. But with that, it's been the Road America Grand Prix here for the 2022B season of the Mega Driver 86 INDYCAR Series. I want to, of course, thank our premier sponsors, Blue Egg Marketing, Brixi Cam, and TA Services. And if you folks are at home or watching and are interested in other racing that we do here at the Elite Racing Leagues, we have Cup Series, Xfinity Series trucks, as well as Formula One that happen all throughout the week. So make sure you're subscribed to the Elite Racing Network to make sure you're grabbing all of that action as it takes place throughout the week. So I've been Rishav Kosa. It's been an absolute pleasure bringing you guys the action from today's race. We continue to race towards the Indy 500 in just over 1 month's time. And looking forward to that and the build up to that as well. But from tonight, I will see you all folks in a couple weeks' time, and have a good night.